Doing something a little bit different this time. Actually out taking a look at a few parcels of land that are for sale in like south central Colorado, because I'm looking for a place to go hunting and camping regularly, and a place that I could call my own, so that I could make improvements and do whatever I want with it, and enjoy it anytime that I want, and hopefully not have a lot of people around me. So anyway, that's what I'm out doing today. This is my third place that I've gone to. It's been quite a while. It's taken me hours to do this, but first place I went to, the roads were just ridiculously rough. There's no way I want to do that on a regular basis. So ruled that out pretty quick. The second place I went to wasn't as nearly as difficult to get to, but once you get there, the terrain is just like super steep. Not really anything level enough. I mean, I couldn't even see any signs of game at all out there. So now I'm out to the third place, and this also was the place that I felt like was the most promising, in terms of potentially being what I'm looking for, and that's kind of what I'm approaching now. This is the land that I'm looking at as I approach. I'm only about less than a mile away right now, but it's tucked up in to those mountains. So we follow this fence line straight ahead for about another half mile, 3/4 of a mile, and then it's up in those mountains, kind of like right there in the center. But I'm pretty happy with the way this looks so far, but it really depends on, what kind of signs can I see from game. So let's get a little closer. So quite a bit closer now. I mean, we just turned to the right, so we've got to go around this section right there, just ahead, like 100 yards, and then we kind of cut back to the left, and this ridge that you're seeing there is where the property actually is. So we're gonna go see what it looks like from the highest point. So this is a view from, it's not quite the highest point on the parcel that I'm looking at, but it's pretty close. And I'm sure that the video is not gonna capture this mountain range quite the same that it is in person. But so if you look right there in the middle with the line kind of running somewhat straight toward me is the road I came in on. Then you just kind of skirt around the base of this ridge, and then once you get around that ridge, then it's the actual piece of property, and it opens up into this valley right here. So I drove through this valley to get up to this point where I am, and this is what I'm really looking at. It's like, this is pretty wide open space. I mean, like you can see pretty far from here. I mean, obviously, and pretty much this whole valley is a part of this property. Drove up right here. You see my Jeep, and then right there, kind of to the left, that's the highest point of the property. But this is a nice spot right here, but it's windy, so I don't know if I'll camp here or not. Given the wind, I may go right back down and camp down here toward the bottom, because this high ground really kind of blocks a lot of the wind. But man, look at this view. I mean, love the view. I don't know though that this property is really going to attract enough big game, enough wildlife for me to really make this doable for me. I definitely want to do more exploring and looking around the property. I want to see a lot of it more just like on foot. So I totally intend to walk around the whole, it's just 40 acres. Definitely intend to walk around that in the near future, but before I do that, I'm going to make something to eat. Pretty hungry. I've been up for like 8 hours now. So today I've been waiting to use this for a while, but I'm finally going to get to use a stove, or a homemade wood stove that I made. Now, I did not come up with this myself. I saw it on YouTube a couple of years ago and thought, hey, that's a great idea. I should do that sometime. So I finally did. I bought this utensil strainer, a dryer. You know, you'd put silverware in it to let it dry, and I cut a square hole in the front there to feed wood into, and then on the top you can see what is the bottom of a paper towel roll, and I cut it off to the right length so that it barely came through the holes on the bottom, and then I used just some like decorative wire to tie it down on both sides to hold it in place. And so obviously the pot will sit on top of that, put firewood inside and get a good fire going. So we're going to try this out for the first time and make lunch. So it took a little bit of work, but not much. You can see that's definitely going to get hot enough to boil some water on. So kind of fighting the wind a little bit, but I assume you have to deal with that with pretty much any cooking on a little wood burning stove like this, or even a fire pit itself. So coming along nicely. I mean, like any fire, you just be patient. Not far from boiling now. So, like I said, nothing amazing, but just, making some shrimp ramen, and I'm actually going to put shrimp in it. Pre-cooked, but it's been frozen, so it doesn't take much. It's really just warming it up as much as anything. So the stove, I'm gonna say, was definitely fun to put it together, to build it, to make it. And it costs, $7, and it would actually cost less if I looked around. You can buy the paper towel holders in Dollar Tree for $1, and so that would have cut the price almost in half. But overall, you have to feed this thing often and quite a bit to keep it going. And I found myself feeding it from the top more than the hole that I cut in the side. So really, I think you don't need to go through that much work, and it would work out just fine just by putting the wood in the top. So really just super easy, but most of the time you want your camping meals to be easy. That's what this is. So the stove works, but honestly, it doesn't work any better than just, making a little fire ring out of small stones and building a fire in the middle of it. I mean, it is nice that it holds the pot on top, but so much of the heat was lost out the sides with the wind blowing that, like I said, you had to feed it constantly. So yeah, I don't know if I'll ever use this again. I might use it just for fun, but it's not a game changer or anything like that. Now I think it's time. I'm going to take a walk around, spend a couple of hours just walking around the property, looking for, tracks, deer track, elk track, whatever might be out here, and just see what I can see. If there's anything recent, if it's old, does it look like this actually might be a viable hunting property for me, or would it only be, a place to come and camp? So I'll show you anything I see along the way. One thing you should know right off the bat is it snowed 2 nights ago and it hasn't snowed since, so that's the snow you're seeing. And obviously, I mean, I'm gonna guess based on this that there are deer tracks right here. And I'm seeing stuff like this pretty much all over the place. When I'm walking around in the snow, there's almost always, like you can see this trail, the deer just came right through there. And I'm seeing this pretty much all over the place. So here's some more tracks. I can't quite tell what it is, but it looks like it's pretty large, like it's probably some more deer tracks like what we saw earlier. But I'm also seeing tons of smaller game tracks, you know, something smaller like, I don't know, probably like fox. And then also bird tracks too, which is nice.